Roughly 47 minutes ago, a banker in Switzerland shut himself inside his office and commenced weeping. His secretary detected him through the door, reciting the identical phrase repeatedly. "It is gone. It is all gone." The banker was not experiencing a mental breakdown due to a faulty trade. He was comprehending in real time that the silver his institution pledged to provide to dozens of clients simply is non-existent. It was auctioned to 5 separate buyers. It was tallied on 5 distinct balance sheets. Every solitary one of those buyers demands their metal at the precise same moment. That phone call is one of thousands occurring currently across the global banking system. And what I am preparing to disclose will clarify why Wednesday, the 14th of January, 2026, will be recalled as the day the entire precious metals market eventually shattered past repair. But here is the portion that should make you enraged. The people who orchestrated this collapse, the ones who ignited the fuse on this financial bomb decades ago, they are not distressed. They are opening champagne. They situated themselves flawlessly years in advance. And right now, they are observing their competitors perish while calculating profits that will be discussed for generations. Remain with me for the upcoming few minutes because I am going to reveal exactly who these people are, what they performed, how they achieved it, and why the silver price on your screen right now is the single greatest lie being transmitted in global finance. Allow me to explain precisely what transpired while you were resting last night. 5 major international banks with centuries of integrated history have effectively failed. I am picking that word intentionally. Their precious metals trading desks have disintegrated. Their margin calls have surpassed available liquid reserves. Emergency board meetings are happening currently across 3 continents, with executives who have not slumbered in 36 hours. The primary pricing mechanism for silver, the system that has dictated the value of this metal for over a century, has fractured entirely. There is no mending it. There is no returning to the way things were yesterday. We are not undergoing a market correction. This is not a turbulent trading week that will settle by Friday. We are beholding a terminal cardiac arrest of the global banking system, and the cause of death is a single disregarded element that most investors completely overlooked: silver. Before I proceed, you must grasp something labeled the death bag. If you do not comprehend the death bag, nothing I inform you next will make any sense, and you will not realize why the financial world transformed permanently this morning. The death bag is a nickname traders have murmured about for years. It concerns a toxic short position exceeding 215 million ounces of silver. To grasp that number, consider that it signifies roughly 25% of the entire annual global mining production. A small group of massive financial institutions has been wagering for decades that silver prices would remain inhibited. They traded silver they never possessed. They guaranteed to supply metal they could never obtain. They gathered billions in profits from a scheme that demanded one vital assumption: they presumed nobody would ever actually request the physical metal. For 40 years, this functioned flawlessly. The Big Four U.S. banks, directed by J.P. Morgan, utilized paper contracts to methodically suppress silver prices. Every time silver attempted to climb, they inundated markets with paper silver. These were synthetic derivatives existing only on computer screens, digital ghosts mimicking real metal. This produced an artificial ceiling that appeared enduring. Based on industrial demand alone, silver should have traded above $100 a year ago. But paper manipulation kept it shackled. Now, here is where the story becomes gloomy, and this is the part that should alarm you. In late 2025, bank participation reports disclosed something unparalleled. These same U.S. banking giants who inhibited silver for 4 decades quietly overturned their positions. They transitioned from net short to net long. They ceased wagering against silver and commenced wagering on a massive price explosion. But they did not merely terminate their short positions. That would have been too visible and too costly. Instead, they carried out something far more premeditated and malicious. They shifted their massive short liabilities to 5 major foreign banks across Europe, Canada, and Asia. Evaluate what this signifies. American banks recognized the system was hitting its breaking point. They grasped the paper-silver scheme had reached mathematical limits. So they identified victims, foreign institutions greedy enough and naive enough to take the other side of the trade. They provided these banks a nuclear bomb masked as an opportunity. Today, those foreign banks confront total financial destruction. They are shorting 25% of annual global silver production at the exact juncture when no metal stays to borrow, lease, or acquire at any price. They are trapped in a margin call cascade with no feasible escape. Perhaps you are assuming central banks will assist. They always save the system, correct? Here is why that assumption collapses entirely. The Federal Reserve did act. They initiated emergency repo injections of $172 billion, followed by another $34 billion, just hours later. These were intended to offer liquidity, to gain time for failing trading desks to find silver for delivery. But these emergency measures were nothing more than bandages on a decapitation. You can fabricate infinite paper dollars with a keystroke. Central banks have shown this repeatedly, but you cannot create one solitary atom of physical silver. Banks possessing the death bag relied on a perpetual carousel of leased metal from eastern vaults, masking their paper promises. That carousel ceased rotating forever. The metal evaporated, the promises stayed. No amount of printed currency resolves this equation. Now, let me recount what is occurring in physical silver markets currently, because this is where everything becomes absolutely frantic. Physical silver has entered what traders term the unobtainable phase. Launch your trading app and verify the spot price. You might observe $71 or $73 per ounce. That number is a hallucination price. It is a digital ghost from a pricing system totally detached from physical reality. It is like inspecting a weather app displaying sunshine while a tornado obliterates your neighborhood. In the real world, street prices have fiercely split from paper prices. In Tokyo, Ginza District, Physical 1, ounce silver coins sell for the equivalent of $130. Buyers assemble before sunrise, and shelves drain by noon. In Shanghai, prices have climbed past $110. In Dubai, affluent buyers propose premiums that seemed impossible 90 days ago. This $57 plus gap between New York paper and Asian physical. Reality is not a premium. It is a total market fracture. The arbitrage mechanism that normally links global markets has disintegrated. Traders cannot purchase in one location and trade in another to balance prices because the logistics chain has completely failed. Secure transport companies like Brinks and Loomis are entirely reserved until February. Every armored vehicle, secure cargo aircraft, and available vault space is already engaged. War, risk insurance for Red Sea shipping has spiked so drastically that regional markets have become secluded islands. Transporting metal is impossible, even when locating metal is feasible, which increasingly it is not. Silver became unavailable through a perfect storm where industrial necessity, geopolitical conflict, and intentional supply destruction clashed at once. Let me clarify each element. 3 weeks ago, Samsung validated mass production of next-generation solid-state batteries. Markets were unready for one specification hidden in technical documents. Each battery pack necessitates 1 kilogram of silver per volt vehicle. Traditional electric vehicles utilize 25 to 50 grams of silver. This new technology requires 1 full kilogram. That represents a 3,000% increase in silver consumption per volt vehicle. Evaluate the scale. Approximately 80 million vehicles are manufactured globally each year. If just 20% of the global fleet adopts solid-state technology over the upcoming decade, batteries alone will exhaust 25% of annual silver mine supply. This excludes solar panels already consuming over 100 million ounces annually. This excludes electronics, medical equipment, and military applications I will explain shortly. Samsung procurement executives have been followed landing private jets at mine gates in Mexico. They are avoiding COMEX completely. They are proposing $80 per ounce for silver, still underground, unextracted, and unrefined. They are securing supply years ahead because they know markets cannot supply what markets have already pledged. Industrial demand is only half the crisis. The other half is far more daunting. Silver has shifted from precious metal to strategic war metal. Last week, the Venezuela spark altered everything. A U.S. Navy destroyer inspected a Chinese-linked oil tanker in Caribbean waters, mentioning sanctions violations. China reacted with language diplomats termed unprecedented. Within hours, institutional algorithms worldwide shifted to total panic, acquisition mode. The Pentagon joined silver markets as an inelastic buyer. Inelastic buyers disregard price entirely. They need the commodity regardless of cost. Every Tomahawk cruise missile requires 15 kilograms of silver for guidance systems. Every F-35 fighter contains over 20 kilograms in electronics and specialized coatings. When national security is endangered, military procurement does not inquire whether silver costs $73 or $130. They demand metal at any price. Defense contractors normally arrange procurement years in advance. Now they hunt for spot market supply. They struggle directly with Samsung, Tesla, and solar manufacturers who suddenly realized assumed silver availability was a delusion. Then Beijing struck the final blow. On the 1st of January 2026, China enforced a total strategic resource lockdown. China refines 40% of global silver. Their smelters process ore from mines on every continent. On New Year, S-Day, Beijing declared zero export waivers for strategic metals during first quarter 2026, not diminished exports. Absolutely zero. By locking 15% of global supply behind the Red Wall, Beijing destroyed Western bullion banking mechanics. COMEX has entered 0 hour. Registered inventory has plunged to 39.4 million ounces. This is metal actually obtainable for delivery against futures contracts. At current delivery demand rates, the exchange has roughly 2.5 days of inventory before hitting absolute zero. When this occurs, COMEX will fulfill contracts in cash rather than metal. That moment turns into the official death certificate for paper silver pricing. Retail supply chains have entered total blackout. Major U.S. dealers have moved American silver eagle shipping estimates to March 2026. The U.S. Mint remains stagnant because industrial consumers have swallowed all available silver blanks. There is literally no metal to press into coins. Here is something showing how dire conditions have turned. Dealers are currently proposing to repurchase silver from customers at $15 above spot price. These businesses rely on purchasing low and trading high. They are now compensating retail customers more than official market prices just to obtain inventory. This phenomenon is termed backwardation, and it indicates catastrophic shortage. When future prices drop below present prices, when buyers pay premiums for prompt delivery over assured future delivery, markets believe metal today is worth more than metal tomorrow. Markets suspect metal might not exist tomorrow. The 5 foreign banks possessing the death bag are being destroyed alive. The American counterparts who moved this toxic position months ago turned long and are observing rivals perish while creating profits that will support dynasties. This was not coincidental. This was not bad luck. This was organized risk transfer from knowledgeable players to unguided players. The unguided are now compensating with their existence. Allow me to be absolutely vivid about what this implies for you personally. This is not a speculative bubble. Bubbles are fueled by emotion and narrative. What we are beholding is fundamental repricing of the world as most undervalued strategic commodity. The paper market is perishing. Synthetic silver that existed only on trading screens is being revealed as fraud, constructed on the assumption that buyers would never request physical delivery. Physical reality is fiercely reasserting dominance. If you possess physical silver now, grasp your position in this altered world. You are not just an investor, you are the bank. You possess what the Pentagon necessitates for missiles. You possess what Samsung necessitates for batteries. You possess what Tesla necessitates for vehicles. You possess what solar manufacturers necessitate for panels. You possess what central banks are frantically attempting to obtain after decades of intentional ignorance. Do not let digital hallucinations on trading screens mislead you into disastrous mistakes. The mentioned spot price is fiction. It is legacy output from a ruined system. Real silver that you can possess is worth significantly more, and that gap expands every hour. Do not trade generational wealth for losing paper. Institutions that inhibited silver for 40 years have reversed positions. They are no longer short. They are long. They desire your metal. They need your metal. Every ounce you trade at fake paper prices moves into vaults of people who grasp exactly what is occurring and are using your ignorance. The era of cheap silver finished this morning. It finished when those 5 foreign banks understood they possessed obligations they could never satisfy. It finished when COMEX inventory fell below critical thresholds. It finished when Samsung landed private jets at Mexican mines. It finished when the Pentagon started battling with private industry for the same limited resource. The death bag is triggered. Shrapnel is still moving. Casualties are still being tallied. The global financial system will take this shock, but will never regain its former form. The relationship between paper promises and physical reality has been permanently modified. Silver, the metal that empires utilized as money for 5,000 years, is reclaiming its proper role as the asset that cannot be printed, cannot be forged, and cannot be refused. The world will never view money the same way again. I am Kenzo with Boring Currency Archive. Remain secure and keep stacking.